everybody, it's that time of year, and so I'm going to be doing my top 5 tarot decks of 2024. So to be clear, these are tarot decks that I bought in 2024. Not all of them came out this year. Some did, some didn't, but they're all newer decks. And this year, I did not buy a ton of decks. In fact, I think I bought 6 decks in total. And one deck was given to me, and so that's not a lot of decks. Like, it's a much less than other years where I've bought, like, I've go through kind of these phases where I'll buy a bunch of decks, and then often then I'll stop buying, and then I'll have a bit of purge, and then maybe buy some more decks. And so this year I didn't buy a ton of decks, but I wanted to show you the ones that I got and kind of, how I felt about them and what order I personally would put them in. So we're going to start at number 5. None of these decks are bad. All like all of these decks. This is the Aleister Crowley Tarot. Now, this was a bit of a surprise. This deck was on sale at my local bookshop for like $15. I mean, what can you get for $15? So I was not actually expecting very much from it because I was like, well, it's 15 bucks, right? But actually, this is a pretty cool little Thoth deck. It's a variation of the Thoth. Comes in a nice, like hard box. I'm actually using this deck to teach Thoth Tarot in my my Patreon. It comes with a nice little book too. It's like color. It's got like a color thumbnail. You've got like a good chunk of information about each of the cards. The pips are a little bit, where is it here? They have like a little less, like they've got each a line here, but it's got lots of information considering this is a $15 deck. Like it's got like a nice book with it. The cards, like cardstock's okay, like it's not terrible. It's like a little thing with an insert and a ribbon even, and it's it's a clone of the Thoth Tarot. This is one where I really like the colors in this. I think a little better than the Thoth Tarot. It does have a border, which I know not everybody is super keen about, but whatever. I love the colors in this. It's got kind of more like a pastel vibe. Like that's a really pretty one. That's a really pretty Two of Swords, It's got like really pretty colors in it. I think that it's just like a nice little Thoth deck. And so that's why I'm using it to teach the Thoth Tarot with on my Patreon. But yeah, I've been really enjoying it. And there's like another pastel swords going on. So I can't, I think it's really nice. And the cardstock's not bad. It's not like the best, but it's not the worst. It's, it's a little bit glossy, a little bit satiny. I actually like the backs. I think they're pretty cool too. So for 15 bucks, I'm like, this is pretty darn good. I'm not going to complain about it. So that's my number 5 deck. This is by, I just realized I don't know, Tanya Ahsan, forward by Mog Morgan. And this is, who is the publisher on this one? If I can find it. Arcturus is the publisher. I haven't heard of them before, but either way, for 15 bucks, that's like a pretty good bargain, I have to say. And as a Winnipegger, we love a bargain. Number 4 on this list was a deck I got with Christmas money, and this is the Folklore Tarot. Now I had to send away this is US Games there. I actually had to send away, I think I got this from a seller in England, because like US Games, for whatever reason, like you can't have to get it shipped from somewhere. You can't just buy it in Canada off of Amazon apparently. So or did I get this from Amazon? I can't remember. Anyway, US Games, sometimes a little tricky to get them. Folklore Tarot comes in like just nice little hard tuck box here. I bought this because it had mystical sort of like creatures and figures from mythology. It's a cool deck on a black background. The inside is purple, very nice. We've got like a nice little book that comes with it for like a little deck. And then we've got here, again, full color, and we've got like a little page or two, page and a half. What is it? I guess like, yeah, of like info for each of the pips. Same thing with the major arcana as well. So like a decent little guidebook there. There's like this sort of like raised, what do they call this? This sort of embossed, you know, on here on both the deck, both the book and the card and the deck. My only complaint about this is it is pippish, but I kind of knew that getting into it. But I don't know if you can see, but they're kind of raised. Like they're, yeah, it's like there's like embossing on there. So that's kind of cool. Colors are beautiful. Really love those colors. Very jewel tone, which I love. There's a lot of florals in here when it comes to the pips, so don't mind that. So this, I would not say this is a beginner's deck for sure. You have to kind of know a tarot to be able to read this. I love the tower with Baba Yaga's house on there. I think that's really cool. So those kind of stuff kind of intrigued me, and I really like the black background. It's a really cool emperor there. Very cool. You can see the kind of how it's printed on, like that embossing there is really cool. So, you know, it's a deck where I'm sort of on the fence a little bit about it, in that, like, I love this devil. Like, what a cool little devil that we have here. I love the way it's printed. The pip cards, I'm not a huge pip person, so I think that's the only downfall for me with this is the pip cards. They're still beautiful pips. I mean, as far as pips goes, you have these beautiful flowers. The colors in this deck are really quite delicious. So, you know, it's a lovely little deck. And I have to say, I enjoy as well the black borders on here. Quite a fan of that. So enjoyed working with this deck as well this year. So that was my number 4. For number 3... I was kind of debating between number 2 and number 3, but I'm going to have to go with the Star Tarot for number 3. So the Star Tarot, it came out a while ago, and then I think it was independent, correct me if I'm wrong, and then it got picked up by a publisher. And I think there's some things that have been changed on it as well. So it comes in this nice, you know, box here. Who is the printer on this? Who's the publisher on this? I cannot see on this box, and I don't want to spend all this time being boringly looking for something. Printed in, does that say Czech? I don't know. Anyway, that's the box there. It comes with a really great guidebook. Like, I think one that you could really use to study. Like, it's a really lovely, you know, glossy, big guidebook. It's got, you know, your color thumbnails. It's got information about like the 2s and the 3s, and like it just breaks everything down like numerologically. Then for the, you know, it's got loads of information for each of the major arcana. So it looks like a really neat book that you could really work with and study. It talks about the court cards. It even has a section on the back about how to figure out what your major arcana is for your birthday, as well as for each year, and what that means. And I think that's a nice little addition at the back of the book. So I think a really well written book. This is by Kathy McClelland, and I just want to see who the publisher is. Red Feather. So this is a Red Feather publishing, is the publisher. And then the cards themselves, they are kind of big. They are on the bigger side. First of all, love the gold gilding. Love me some gold gilding. How can I resist that? And then you have like, it's just like beautifully colorful. That's the backs there. I'm using this in December in like my readings and on like my Patreon, because I don't know, to me this just screams like winter solstice, dark nights in the winter. But it's got like beautiful colors, beautiful artwork. It's really, really gorgeous. It is actually also a Thoth-based deck, much like the Aleister Crowley. I think this one, though, to me is a little more joyful, a little less, you know, cerebral, I think, in some ways than the other one. Just really beautiful illustrations. It feels very storybook. It feels, you know, very sort of like folklore-y. It's just a really lovely deck. It's got rainbows in here. Beautiful rainbow flying unicorns. Very pretty. How can I resist, right? Just lovely, lovely deck. So I've been really enjoying working with that. Love the colors and things. Again, they are a bit on the big side for shuffling, but You know, if you don't mind that, I don't let that, you know, kind of put you off. But it is like a lovely, colorful deck, one that I definitely will be working with again. I love this Queen of Wands with her cats. It's just beautiful. It's like full of color, and especially, you know, it is the darker time of year. It is nice to have like a colorful, magical deck around. All right, in the number 2 spot, we have here, this was released this year. This is the Dark Goddess Oracle deck. My only complaint with this one is, and this again is not the artist's fault in any way, it's like it's dirty around here. Like, I don't know, something must have happened in the shipping or whatever. But you know, that's not the artist's fault. So this is by Caitlin McCarthy, and it is Page Street, which I've never heard of as a publisher. So, you know, it's just in your typical kind of box. That's the inside there. This is a black and white deck. My other thing with this one is the little white book is quite small. And while the information is good, the printing is really small. And for someone my age, I'm gonna have to get out the reading glasses to be like, what the heck is this saying? One thing I do really appreciate with this deck is, pardon me, that there are goddesses in here that I have not heard of, that I've not heard of before. So I thought that was cool. The other weird thing with this is there's this weird insert at the bottom that, like, there's that. I don't even know why they need that. That's, I mean, that is a publishing thing, so I don't know what's going on with that. But this is a really cool deck. That's the backs here. The artwork on this is just gorgeous. Like, so pretty. The details here are just so lovely. And I love how there's just goddesses of different ages, from all sorts of different cultures and things. And that's beautiful. Like, just really cool, interesting things. Like, you know, I haven't heard of this goddess. And so, you know, then I look it up, right? So I think it's really wonderful. I have a lot of God and Goddesses decks. So finding one where I'm like, I've never heard of this one is actually like, you know, I like that, you know, I think it's kind of neat. And again, I do love, you know, that they come from all sorts of different parts of the world, which is very, very cool. So and I love her drawing, like, as an artist. I'm just like, these are really beautiful, really, really well done. She obviously has like a very distinct style, and I think that is very, very cool. So again, one I thought was really good for wintertime with the black and white. There's just something about that to me that just screams like the dark time of the year. This is the time to pull this one out. So that's when I got, actually, I think I got this in October, and I used it in November and really enjoyed working with it and reading for people with this one. So really lovely deck. And then my number 1 deck that I bought this year, I got this one again, local bookstore, just was passing through, and I didn't see anyone unbox this or talk about it, and that is the Mythos Tarot. So this is a rock pool one. It's got like that lovely kind of, what do they call it, rose petal rubbery type feel to it. Again, it's got the beautiful gold leaf, the embossing on it. Like, ooh, shiny. Love that. Comes with, you know, a nice book, ribbon in there. This book is really nice. Again, we've got kind of that rose petal feel to it. It is, you know, full color that we've got here. We've got a full color image here. It talks about, you know, who it is, upright as well as reversed. So really just like a really lovely little guidebook to go through. You know, usual with like some information and things like that, but it has a good chunk of information for each of the cards, which I think is really good. And then you've got the cards themselves. So that's the box there. We've got this gold going on. This is a summer deck for sure. These are the backs, they're reversible, love them. And of course, we've got the gold gilding, which I love and adore. My only criticism with this is that there is some chipping going on, that the cards were stuck together and they pull them apart and they chip. That was, yeah, did not like that. But the cards themselves are gorgeous. They're all figures from Greek mythology, and so it lends this sort of other layer to the readings I found, because while I do think some of the choices on this, like, I think most choices are good, like some things, you know, I would have maybe done a little bit differently, but that's a personal thing. There's the added layer of the myth of each of these figures when you're reading the cards, and I really actually quite enjoyed that. And while I'm not a huge fan of like art with like photo manipulation, these actually work. Like, I think that they are just beautiful, lovely cards. Really enjoyed working with them. Four of Cups being sticks. There we go. Beautiful. Like, they're just really beautiful cards to work with. I really love also, to me, they kind of make me think of images of saints and icons, which I'm very, very fond of. So I quite like that. And it's just like a really beautiful deck. You know, it's a beautiful people deck, and I have no problems with that whatsoever. I think that sometimes you need a beautiful people deck, right? We have Temperance with Artemis there. You know, Devil is Hades. I don't know if I'd necessarily put him there, but that's okay. We have the High Priestess, Persephone. Really beautiful. I love these. I feel like there's also an aspect of Art Deco to them with the, or Art Nouveau, pardon me, with some of the different borders and halos and things around them. I just think this is a really lovely deck that is very much up my alley. We have Eight of Swords here and Medusa, of course, beautiful. We have the Seven of Swords and the Erinys. So if you love Greek mythology, I think you'd really love this deck. I enjoyed working it with a very lovely summary deck that just to me had this other layer that the other decks, you know, didn't have. So I put it on top as my top deck for 2024, the Mythos Tarot by Helena Elias, I think her name is. Guidance from the Greek Gods. So that's my top tarot decks. Do you have any of these tarot decks? What are your tarot decks that you've been working with that are your top for the year? Let me know. I would love to hear from you. Again, thank you so much for being here and for watching. If you want, check out my Patreon. Like I said, we're talking about the Aleister Crowley Tarot over there, among other things. Pardon me. And also you can check out my Etsy. It's back up and running. For, you know, if you want to book a reading with me, I do have a sale on Year Ahead readings. So you can check that out. Just a note about the Patreon. If you are going to sign up for Patreon, don't do it through like your Apple phone. Do it through like a laptop, you know, a computer, because if you do it through like the Apple apps, it will charge you more money and take more money from me, and that's not good for either of us. So if you want to join, do it through your computer, through a browser. Anyway, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being here this year, those of you that were. Thank you for all the comments. Thank you to my patrons. You guys are amazing and wonderful. I'm wishing you a wonderful, if you're watching this during December, I'm wishing you a wonderful, amazing holiday season and a very happy and wonderful 2025. And as always, peace and love and rock and roll.